All right. Little sound check. I got my mic turned up this time. Okay. Welcome to the TeleDynes live stream, everybody. Sorry for the little delay there, trying to get everything set up. Sound check. Try a different guitar this week. So, we're going to talk about a couple different things today. Of course, just like I said last time, immediately after I stopped the stream, I thought of a bunch of things to talk about. Howdy, what's going on? Glad you could join us. Um, so I had some other practice ideas that came to me, and one thing that helps for me at least is also the feel of some of this stuff. So especially with rockabilly or swing or anything that has the swing and eighth notes to it, some people struggle with getting that bounce and that's really kind of all in the pick where you're going down up, doing that kind of a thing. And one thing that can help is take songs that are normally straight eighths and try to swing it. And it might sound a little silly, but it will help you get used to it and then go back and forth and then play it straight again. And then take songs that are swing and try to play it straight, like and then switch it up. And the one thing you'll notice is when you play tempo wise, if you're playing something that is straight, you'll notice that if you try to go and play it swing, it'll sound much slower in the swing side of things. And if you try to play something that swings pretty fast, it sounds like it's blazing fast when you try to straighten it out. But it's the same tempo, it's the same BPM. So that's just something to keep in mind. So sometimes it feels natural to you want to just kind of slow it down a little bit when you go straight, or you want to speed it up a little bit if you're going if you're swinging it a bit. Uh, so yeah, any sort of tune. I'm trying to think of something that's got um, a swing feel to it or a straight feel, like Pipeline. So swing. Kind of, sounds like lounge music or something, but it it's good to kind of just bounce back and forth to get that feel. Um, when you it's because you can technically write it out sheet music wise and look at it. There's two basic ways to do that. You can have dotted 8/16, or you can have quarter note triplet, eighth note triplet. And the quarter note eighth note triplet is more of the swing feel, and the other is more of a shuffle kind of feel, a little more staccato. So you'll get like that versus some a little smoother sound. And that's usually what you're going for. I mean, if you do read music or anything, you usually see if something swings, you're not going to see it written out like that. You're just going to see eighth notes, and then it'll say at the top, eighth notes equals this feel. And so you have to get used to that playing this kind of stuff. Fairly common if you play in jazz bands or big bands or something like that. Um, let's see. What else can we talk about? So, coming up with solos. Um, everybody, of course, plays the minor, all that, all that stuff. Minor, major, whatever. You have different notes and that sort of thing. But what really makes a solo interesting is the spaces in between, having the rhythms of the actual notes. And that's something that does come with time. and you don't just want to try to fill in every single fill in every note with every space with a note. Just take some, time with it. Whatever you want to do, and switch back and forth, and just kind of, doing finger picking, playing individual notes, chord melody stuff. That's why I like playing a lot of the swing stuff. Is it just allows you to be totally free with your rhythm playing, your chord melody structures. It doesn't really matter. You can play nines. You can add a 13 up there. You can just be um, completely free to do whatever you kind of want to do. I mean, and you take chances on different things of what's going to work and what's not going to work. Sometimes things don't work so well, and you have to go, okay, I'm not going to do that again. But it's always fun. Where I've always found that playing straight eighth music is just a little more constrained. Just feels a little more. You have to be a little more deliberate with your note playing, which is good. Be more melodic with the soloing as opposed to just randomly coming up with stuff. But it's fun to just come up with random solos and things like that. I always try to have a balance between some songs are the solos are rehearsed exactly, they're the same or as close as I can get it the same note for note every time, and then other songs are improvised, and then sometimes it's half and half, just to you know have some kind of an overall structure to the band playing live. Um, the other thing I wanted to go over is, and I touched on this on another video that I did. It was chord melody, um, coming up with chord melodies and how to do it. I believe I used "We Belong Together" in my other video. I don't know. Right? And you could take a song like "Sea of Love." Um, yeah. However you want to do it. And so with chord melody, you're taking the melody note, and then whatever chord is being played, you're just you're playing the chord and putting the melody note on the top of that chord. So that will create different inversions of the chords. You'll start to notice that, oh, this looks like this chord and that looks like that chord. And then you can spell it differently and call it something else. And sometimes that is what's going on with substitutions. It's a substitution, but technically it's also this as well. Um, so I had this prepped. Ahoy! How's it going? I have this prepped. Let's see if this works here. Um, this is a tune we started doing recently. I think I mentioned this last stream. I'm not sure. Um, called the theme, if you know it, from Magnificent Seven. Right? So instead of just playing the notes individually, as you can see, E, G sharp, F sharp. Instead of just doing that, I can play the whole chords. Now, if if you can find a melody like this, you know what the actual chords are. You can you find out, okay, well, I'm going to the G sharp here. We have the E, so that's going to be an E. You know that's easy. Then you're going to a G sharp. Okay, well, G sharp is in an E, so you can play an E there, but it's an A chord that it's over. So that means G sharp isn't in the A chord, but it is in an A major seventh chord. Keep it on top there. So one thing you can do, which essentially, sorry, or if you want to slide up and play it this way, and then that gets you the sound. If you're going for that A chord, a lot of it depends on what's going on in the bass, and that. This is just the when I found the music, excuse me, that it had the A chord there. So okay, well, it's got to be a major seventh then. And you can decide whether that sounds good to you or whatever. And the rest of it's pretty simple. I chose it because it's fairly simple. It's just E, B, E, A, And so you'll have these notes. This is a G sharp over an E. Well, where can I play an E with a G sharp on the top? There. And you can add that. And then you go to the B note. So. And then you're still over an E and you have the C sharp there. Well, the C sharp isn't technically in the E chord, not in the major chord anyway, but it's in, if you add a C sharp to it, it becomes an E6. And the B is the fifth. Now we're over an A. Well, that's easy. A and E. But instead of just playing the individual notes, you can have this. And it fills in a lot more space, especially if you only have one guitar. And that's where I come from my perspective, is I've typically only played with just a three-piece. Or if I've had other players in the band, it's been a sax or a horn or some kind of thing. Occasionally a keyboard player. Very rarely a second guitar. And I have done it before, but it's just, for whatever reason, just doesn't ever tend to work out that way. And a lot of this music, there isn't really a call for a second guitar player. So that really didn't start happening a lot in bands where you'd have like the rhythm guitar and the lead guitar. You'd see it in Gene Vincent, the Blue Caps, but and a few bands here and there. But the two guitar really wasn't a standard, really until the Beatles. So having that, if you're just one guitar, you have to fill up all that space somehow. Especially if the drummer is playing a ride, which is always key. If you're playing a lead line, you want to go to that ride to fill up that space. If you go to the hi-hat and you're playing individual lines, it can still work, but sometimes it just needs a little bit extra sound. Think about chord melody, and especially with the slower tunes. Let's see. Go back to this. Let's see. All right. Those were the things I really wanted to kind of just add into the stream. I got the next video that's coming is going to be, I've got two planned, well, three planned really. Like I've said before, I'm starting the series of start from the very beginning of guitar playing and just keep going until until I run out of stuff to talk about as far as I reach the limit of my knowledge. Um, then with the lessons, the individual songs, the next one I had a request for was 20 Flight Rock, Eddie Cochran. So I'm going to do that. And also another one that had been requested a while ago that I looked back and I forgot about it. So apologize for that. But is Johnny Burnett, Rockabilly Boogie. And I'm surprised. I'm really surprised I haven't done any Johnny Burnett stuff for yet. But that's a great, I think it's called the Rockabilly Bible or the Johnny Burnett Rockabilly Bible or something like a, a compilation um, CD that you can get. I think it's on Spotify. I'm not sure, but it's all the most of the Johnny Burnett catalog, as well as some of the alternate takes for a lot of the tunes, and it's a great resource uh, to listen to. Another great album for album recommendations is what's it? It's Robert Gordon and Danny Gatton live. That's an incredible album to listen to if you're looking for some crazy guitar playing that'll blow your mind. That's up there for me. Um, let's see. Another question that some people have asked is and I touched on this briefly in a short, but how to keep this Bigsby in tune. And that's something that I struggled with for a long time. The Gretches today are a lot better than they used to be. Back in the vintage ones, forget about it. They're a pain. But even the ones from the '90s, before Fender took over distribution, were just were even just as difficult. Not quite as bad because you didn't have to worry about deteriorating frets or anything like that. But let's instead have a Paul Burleson teaching DVD. Oh, cool. Yeah, I've got a bunch of DVDs, different different people teaching. There's the if you can find it, the probably on Amazon or probably on YouTube, the two Danny Gatton um, Hot Licks videos. One's just on rhythm guitar, and the other one's on lead guitar. I think the rhythm one was the second one. And then there's James Burton one did a Hot Licks. Duke Robillard, who's actually a local guy around here, he had one. Yeah, there's a bunch of good ones, especially from that Hot Licks series that they were doing in the early '90s. Yeah, so these keeping these things in tune. It's the Danny Gatton Hot Licks. Yeah, that's something. I only got a couple of little tricks from that one, like can't even do it. And a couple of little riffs that he did, like yeah, the Brian Setzer one too. Yeah, I absorbed that one. Yeah, that one's a good one. It's nice too because it came with the book, the tablature book, and I had it on VHS, of course, because that's where it first, and then they made the DVDs later. But having the tablature resource is great. Um, there's another great guitar player for chord melody stuff. His name is Lawrence Juber, and he played with Wings towards the very end. I think like the last album or whatever. And I got to see him just solo and play with a Beatles reunion band or cover band or whatever. Um, they weren't really impersonating them; they were just playing the music. And oh, the chat. I wish I wouldn't do that. Andy Summer was a big Lenny Brown fan. Oh, cool. Um, what was he saying? um, yeah, the having the resource is great. It came with a lot of cool tablature and that sort of that sort of stuff. Um, it's the print of some of these books is harder and harder to find, but they're still available on Amazon, as far as I know. Oh, did he? Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, I've only had got a couple of those magazines um, over the years, and I never got magazines too much. But when I was starting out, I used to do it. Now everything's online and whatever. But yeah, he's got a volume 1 and 2 book on how to play certain tunes and that sort of thing. I mean, they're great resources. It's a bit, it can be a bit overwhelming at first, but once you just take it step by step, and you'll just make progress slowly over time. And Juber did a lot of alternate tuning stuff, and that's really cool. And of course, Tommy Emmanuel. Yeah, well, I feel that way sometimes. But yeah, keeping these things in tune. Of course, graphite in the nut helps a little bit. You can use the Intune or the Big Ben's nut sauce. Yep, that's what it's called. And you can just put it in the strings after the strings are to tension, because if you just put it in there first and then put the strings on, the strings will tighten, and you'll just scrape it all out of there, and then it's not doing anything. And then also put it here. But the key to it is really take some sandpaper and just sand in the nut slots. Probably, I'd say 400 grit, maybe 6 to 400 grit, and that will kind of clear out, because especially on the D, A, and E strings, they're wound, so that just gets pushed in and creates divots and grooves and burrs in the nut and in the saddle as well. And when you put a new set of strings on it, when you go to bend the Bigsby, it can bind up in there and in here. So you want to sand and smooth that down. And if you're not comfortable with that, take it to a luthier, or guitar repair shop or whatever, and they'll take care of it, because there's a couple things to, if the nut's not shaped correctly, you'll have to kind of um, file it down and curve it as you go, because there's a little bit of, as you can see, there's a bit of a curve towards the top string. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that you want to take the slack off. But you can bend after you get them on there. You got to bend them down, and then bend them up back here, and then also stretch them up like that. Pull them. See that? Pull it out. Just don't be afraid. It's not gonna break on you if it's a good quality string anyway. Kind of pop out of the nut there. That can happen too if you're not getting enough tension. You can see how that's bowed, or that you get a little angle there. If the strings are popping out, that used to happen with I had an old 74 Tennessean that I got rid of, sold it, and it wasn't great. It's like, oh, it was an old one, but the pickups weren't great. It sounded very kind of tin canny, and right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it slides the string in the nut. But yeah, sometimes you'll bend the string, especially on a Gretsch. You'll bend it, and boom, it'll pop right out of the. It could pop right out of the bridge. And so you want to make sure there's a little bit of an angle. So that's all in the setup, and making sure the neck is straight and the nuts you know, that's not too high up here. Um, the order is neck, bridge, nut, and that's the way you want to approach it. Just make sure the neck is adjusted, then make sure you get your height. I use a little ruler to make sure I'm at least 2/32 above the 12th fret on all the strings, which since you don't have individual saddle pieces, if you're doing a tele, you want to do, or a strat, you do every string. But with this, you just have to do, you know, check the middle, check the top, and if you see that there's a big difference in the center in the G on the G string and D string, like it's lower, that is a sign that your bridge is actually warping and is actually caving inward, and it will break over time. It probably won't happen for a long time, but it's no longer pushing the string tension up. So you want to consider just replacing that. And they make two pneumatic bridges. So it's especially with the ones that have the two pneumatic bridges. Some of the Gretsches don't have them. They have the roller bridges, and with those, they probably won't buckle if you had a roller bridge. But the problem with the roller bridges is that go to bend a string, boop, it's going to pop right off. Um, and they usually have that 0 fret. That's something if you want to go get a Gretsch, unless you're playing, the Chet Atkins type stuff pretty much exclusively, or rhythm and a little bit of lead, I would try to avoid anything with a 0 fret, because my Tennessean had one, and what happens very quickly, pretty much just one gig, you'll get a divot right in that 0 fret, and it helps keep it in tune. And the strings they're stiffer, so they don't move around as much, and it's great for playing, the Chet Atkins stuff. But if you go to bend a string, especially up here in the first position, you'll get a little ding ding ding, and it's quite annoying, especially within the first the E, B, and G string. And the only thing you can really do is, polish it down. But there are plenty of models without the 0 fret. But that's just my preference. Some people might like it. I know a lot of the old ones, the '50s models had the 0 fret, and like Setzer has it removed and everything else. So, but that's no, a huge expense because they're already ridiculously expensive. I would just avoid the vintage ones altogether because it's not worth the cost. You're gonna have to replace everything, the electronics, the frets, more than likely, um, unless you happen to find one that's mint. But they're fairly brittle. I went to a guitar shop in Nashville. I can't remember the name of it. It was on Broadway, so somebody might know the name of it. But um, they had an old '56 and an old White Falcon, and they were just so brittle. I felt like it was going to break in my, holding it. I said, "Oh, this is really, yeah." The vintage thing is not really where, I mean, unless you got the dough or whatever, you want it for a collector's thing. The oldest guitar, or this guitar, most expensive guitar I played was a Gibson. It was one of the very first run of the, I forget the name of it, the Black Beauty, I think, with the three gold pickups in it. Was the Les Paul, um, the same model type? I think the one that like Jimmy Page had, the guitar was stolen. Um, that it was supposedly worth, or was it was being fixed up at the guitar shop I worked at. I worked at um, Rudy's Music Stop in New York briefly for like 3 months, and but in that time frame, I got to play this guitar, and it was coming in, and there was a Gretsch drum shop actually down below the uh, the next floor down, and they had Fred Gretsch came in one time, and it was all about drums and stuff. So that was cool to see that side of the Gretsch company, because I'm mostly just into the guitar stuff. But they started out as a drum company anyway. So, uh, but yeah, playing that guitar is supposedly worth like $230,000, and I immediately went, here you go, take it back. I don't want to hold on to this thing anymore. And it doesn't really play or sound any different, or it just feels. It does feel a little older. I got to say the Gibsons back then were built very well compared to the Gretches. Gretches were all over the place. You'd have the pickups would be in different positions. It was never consistent back in the old day. Not like today. Today they're excellent. They can almost play them right out of the box. Um, hello from Cambridge. Welcome. So yeah, that's let's see. See what else can I tell you about that? Getting the strings. Oh, when another thing that happens with these is the um the pots will tend to crackle a bit. And you can use contact cleaner on them. That's good, but you have to take this off. You have to take the knob off and unloosen the nut, and be careful that you don't do it too much or it'll fall down in the body, and then it's a pain to get it back out again. But just keep doing that, and that happened pretty much to every guitar over, especially if you live in a humid area like I do. Um, and when to change the strings. Another thing to keep in mind is obvious, feel. Turn this down so it doesn't underneath the string with your finger and see if you can feel any divots. Any A little bit's fine, but if it's really harsh, especially by the A string, and you really start feeling it, it's time to change them. And if you feel on the top, for sure, if you feel anything on the top, it's getting ready to snap. And if that one doesn't snap, another one's probably going to. So you don't want to be at a live show and have to snap a snap a string. That's never fun. And you can just, I mean, it's always good to have a backup guitar sitting there just in case. But if you don't, then the show basically has to stop and you have to change the string, and that's never good. Um, all right. All right. Well, let's see if I can come up with any more other practice ideas. Um, ah, Packfish tube, attach fish. Yeah, I was, yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Attach that, um, so it doesn't fall in. You can get it out easily, which is how they do the whole wiring harness underneath. Anyway, is everything is usually put through the pickups, and you actually wire the whole harness outside of the guitar and then feed it through and get it out. So yeah, I would recommend that, but you don't have to take off the nut all the way, just a little bit. But to be safe, it's a good idea. Wrap fishing line around the nut. A lot of these nuts, they used to use what's called split shaft pots, and it was easier to grip with fishing line. All of these are solid shaft, which harder to get contact cleaner in, which is why you have to take the knob off and everything. Part of that reason anyway. But this guitar is really simple. All it has is just a volume knob and a pickup selector. That's it. There's no tone knobs or anything. And on the Gretches, they are individual volume knobs. The they're not even tone knobs. I forget the model. There's a couple of models that have three. I've never had one of those, so I would imagine like one is just a master tone and the other two are still volume knobs, which to me is just kind of, I guess you can create a different sound if you turn one pickup down and turn the other one up. It could create a weird sound. I've never really dealt with it. I've tried it, but they usually have just they're so sensitive that you just barely turn them off, and it kills the whole pickup. So it seems kind of pointless to me. Um, Here's something else for finger picking. It's fairly easy to want to just pick use your fingers and pick at the same time that you're picking your thumb. That's kind of the it's what feels natural. And never change those anyway. What are they not changing? Are they not changing the oh, the knobs? Yeah. Yeah, no, they never do. Yeah, sets are well, this is this. Even his models as far as I know, even the ones that have the knobs, they either have them disconnected or they just leave them leave them open anyway. Uh, yeah, the Gretches are just what they are. They just sound good. I've always had great luck with them recording. I've tried. I want a different sound on this song, and let me try a Gibson, and I'll try a Strat, or I'll try a Tele, and then I go bring in the. All right, let me try the Gretsch, and I'm like, ah, there it is. At least to my ear, that's what always seems to work really well. I've used a Strat on it, and I like Teles too. So I have one, and I have a Squire Strat. That's about as much as I. But I did change the pickups. The pickups are the Stevie Ray Vaughan signature pickup, so it sounds okay. You know, yeah. I like the hot rod models. The they always tend to flip back and forth between. I like the ebony fingerboard. The ones right now are rosewood, so I'm kind of eh. But the rosewoods are fine. I have my jazz box back there. That's a rosewood, and that's nice. Um, it's Gretsch does a pretty good job. My acoustics rosewood. That's nice too. So it you know may not be too bad. I've just always liked the ebony. One of my first real electric guitar was a 335, a Gibson, and I had an ebony. It was the BB King Lucille model, and that guitar was really nice. But um, I wanted a Bigsby, and it I was looking at the Gibson, the Chet Atkins Gibson model that was out for a while, but I didn't really care for it. Sounded the Bigsby was very stiff, and glad I never really went down that road. The fingerboard was also weird. Um, it didn't really have binding on the side of it, which was very odd to me. The coolant green, yeah, the coolant green one, that's pretty cool. Um, I don't know if that's rosewood or ebony, but yeah, any of those are great because they're everything that you would want to do, or the signature models, which are a little bit more expensive, but I think the only main difference there is the it has the volume knobs, and it has the I don't know if it has the mud switch that they call it, or it's just the pickup selector. But anyway, the point is that with the Setzer models, most of them come with the locking tuners. Rosewood, okay. Um, most of them come with locking tuners, and they come with zero frets gone, two pneumatic bridge, basically everything that you would want to do to the guitar anyway is already done. So it just that's why I went with those models. I really wanted to find one that wasn't a signature model of anybody and just get a standard stock Gretsch. But there was always something that wasn't, whether it be all gold hardware, which ultimately pits and turns green and doesn't look great, or fades or whatever. And they I mean, thank God they stopped using the graphite nut. That was really bad. That was a phase that the orange one here, that one had originally a graphite nut. And great idea, but when you start using the Bigsby, the strings literally act like a saw. And then after, I don't know, a year or so, boom, the the string is just flat against the fingerboard, and you not much you can do about it. You can't even. I mean, you can do the baking soda super glue trick, which that's something if to do if you ever run into a fact where I filed the nut slot down a little too much. Is take tape, use painting tape, put it under the strings, uh, remove or just pull them off. You can leave the tension on and just move the strings off of the nut. Put some painter's tape here and here on this side, and just put a little baking soda in there. Take the string. You want to leave the string to tension because you want to bring the string back and put it in there with the baking soda to pack it down. Take the string back out. Put just a dab of the. I would use it's. You can get it through Stu Mac. It's a the 10. What is it? The 10 gauge or the 10. They have the different thicknesses of super glue, like 10, 20, 30. You want to use the light glue. It's almost like a water, a very thin, thin glue. And you just put a little bit of a drop in there and you'll see it. And then you can either leave it and let it dry naturally or get some activator spray and spray and it'll harden instantly. And then then you have to refile it and sand it again and shape the nut. But that's the trick that people use if someone's in the shop and they accidentally filed a little bit too much, they have to fix it without having to make a whole new nut. Um, and if you're on a gig, real quick, just take a little piece of paper or a business card and just tear a little piece off and just put it under there, and that usually works temporarily. All right. Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about the finger picking thing. Um, so you want to get kind of alternating between the finger picks, or between the thumb and your fingers. So, so you want to kind of so the thumb is on the downbeat pretty much always, and then practice playing the upbeats with your fingers, and then back and forth. So you're getting used to that kind of thing. That's a practice thing. You can whatever you want to do. Um, what do you think of the smoke with the TV Jones Ray Butt pickups? Ray Butts pickups. That's a smoke. I'm not familiar with that. Is that the same? Is that the sets or signature pickups? I know this the smoke one, which is one I would really like. Um, they when they came out with that shortly after I got that one, I was like, at least as far as the finish goes. But these pickups, this one has the I know what these are. These are just the TV Jones sets or signature pickups. The other one is the orange one is more of the standard 59 Filtertrons, and the Phoenix has it still says patent. There's no name or anything; it's just a serial number on there. But they are supposedly TV Jones. But according to the documentation, but I it doesn't say that at least on there. Um, if these are the same pickups, I mean, I think they're fantastic. I mean, they're gritty and they have a lot of they're rounder in general compared to the older the pre Fender. In general, any of the TV Jones stuff that I've played is just a fuller sound, a little deeper. Um, the standard Filtertrons, they do have a little more plank, so to speak, with them, so a little bit more twang, I guess you could say. Not as thick, but it really depends on the style of music you're playing. It's small, it's marginal. I think. But you do notice the thing you notice right away with the TV Jones stuff in general is just the output level is so much higher with TV Jones, and the touch sensitivity that you get from um, having those pickups in there, those hotter pickups, is just incredible. And of course, a lot of that's going to be the amp you're using, preamp if you have one, pedals, down the line. Oh, based on the original Filtertrons. Okay. Um, so it's probably more along the line of just TV Jones imitating like a standard 59 pickup. I haven't played it. I'd I'd like to. That's the next one on my list to get down the road. So if I ever can, I'll definitely get one. Snarlier. Okay. The new Smoke has the full fidelity pickups by TV Jones and array buds, different to sets. Ah, okay, okay, great. Okay, nice, good to know. Yep, that one's on my list. Unfortunately, I don't have any. There are no music stores around me that has Gretches except for the Electromatic. Um, the closest one is about 2 hours away. I think that has any Gretches in stock or any of the high end Gretches that I could try. So, um, oh, you reverse engineered it? Oh, cool. I'll have to I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check that out if I ever can find one. I'll probably just eventually that'll be my next guitar. But if I'm toying between that or a Duo Jet, I don't know. One of the because I really want that Dynasonic sound, especially doing some of the like Dwayne Eddy surf stuff would be cool. Mm. What is the Rev model? Doesn't he have a? He has a different pickup in it, right? Is that the one with the? I mean, I've never played the Reverend model. I know it's got the. I think it's a rosewood fingerboard. Does he have? I'm not really sure. I can't remember. I should know. Let me see if I can just look that up real quick. The vintage one? Oh, geez. Of course. Oh, there it is. Oh, they just look like filter. Yeah, it's hard. I'd like to play it and compare it. Um, TV Jones classics. Okay. Yeah, it's probably. Yeah, yeah. I know the feeling. Yeah, the TV Jones class. I mean, like I said, anything with the TV Jones stuff is going to be pretty good. I do like those P90s too. I mean, they make a P90 version, I believe, the TV Jones. I haven't played them again. Most of the stores around here, the individual like store owned stores don't have much of anything at all. Um, it's all very low end guitars on every brand, and the big stores, the only thing that's around here is Guitar Center, and they have these days lately a lot of nothing. So it's always a lot of it's all selling to the Squires and the Telly that sort of thing. They have a few vintage things occasionally. You never know. They used to have nice stuff, but yeah, it's just not. Even the acoustic selection is not what it used to be. And buying stuff there, in my opinion, I've always, even if I was gonna buy it through them, which I have, I order it separately. I don't buy the one that's on the wall. I order it because those guitars have been sitting for God knows how long, and the necks are warping and twisting and everything else. And it's just no, just don't. I would try to avoid that. If it's a good like local music store, they're pretty good about humidification and all of that, depending on where you live, right? If up here in in the wintertime, you got to humidify and make sure that the necks, otherwise they will bow and they'll twist, and then that becomes a major. pain, especially with acoustics. Yeah, the Gretsch T90s are. Yeah, I know. I've never seen one in person. I've seen Gibson, like the gold tops and stuff like that, but never a Gretsch. Other than hearing, it's not the same. You can watch them demos online, and you try to do, like I try to do the best I can with the videos to try to demo sounds and things like that. And if I'm doing that, it's just it's just not, it's you're getting the recorded sound no matter what, so you're never getting the act what it sounds like in real life, of course, but try to get it as close as I can, and try to be as, no, I don't add any extra layers of compression or EQ or anything to that, to those videos, just to make sure that this is the sound, this is as close as you can get without actually being there. um, and all the videos that I do, except for this is just a guitar through Pro Tools with an amp mod on it. But when I do the videos, everything's played through 63 or 64 Bassman. So all right, let's see. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but coming up with other practice ideas. I think I did, but trying to play, when you go to play chords, especially with chord melodies, you can play with a pick like that, obviously, but you want to try to pick it with your fingers too, so it's more like a piano, and then you can switch it up. Same chord, but you're just plucking around on it, and that's more of like a comping sound, and it helps get you used to. Whoop, Pro Tools, freaking out. Just kind of playing around with the rhythm a little bit, and if you to practice too, one good thing for practicing, if you have the ability to do it, is make backing tracks. Just, if you have that's what I have, basically have that little electric bass back there for, is just to well, I use it on the video sometimes to make all the backing tracks for the what's playing underneath when I'm talking. Um, just take a drum program or some beat, even if it's just a metronome or whatever, and create a progression, and just play whatever 145 2 6 5 1, whatever you want to do to practice playing over, and then you can just practice soloing. If you want to practice soloing over a specific song, you can make the whole song, or um, don't. It's called. There's a great app that I my bass player turned me on to, called iReal Pro, and you can get it on your phone or tablet or whatever. And I think it's a little, it's 15 bucks, but it's got all of these songs on it. They're like fake book versions of the songs, but the app will play the song in whatever key, whatever tempo, whatever feel you want to play it, and you can pump that through your speakers or whatever, and just practice to the chord progressions. And that's a great way to get used, if you're interested in doing improvisation and that sort of thing, and you can get used to actually um, playing to the song, as opposed to just playing to a standard progression, and then you get live and you're like, oh, it's a little different, or it's in a different key, and you get thrown off. So it's always it's always a learning experience. You never really stop learning. It's just you just add more to your repertoire. Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I enjoy doing them. I definitely enjoy making the videos. I appreciate you guys hanging out and joining in the chat. We definitely want to keep this going, like I said, on a weekly basis. So we'll do this every Saturday at 4 o'clock my Eastern Standard Time. Um, and as I make more videos, of course, I'm going to do a live stream after the videos as well, and just kind of keep that going and get more ideas and for videos from you guys and continue to grow the community, could grow the channel. And I really appreciate you guys as well. Thank you guys a lot. We're almost to the channel's almost to 2,000 subscribers, which is crazy to me. I never thought it would ever even get remotely that far, at least that fast. I haven't even been doing this a year yet, but yeah, I started the channel back in. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. I definitely appreciate that. It helps me to interact with you guys. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just talking to myself, which I mean, it kind of are. But I mean, when I see people talking, it's definitely better for everybody, I think. And I can't see if people are watching or not, so I have no idea. It doesn't tell me. I don't have that screen up. Maybe there's something I can add to this to let me know, but it doesn't matter. Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Well, um, I mean, yeah, we've definitely gone for quite a bit longer than I expected today. If you guys have any more questions or anything else you want to talk about today, let me know. I know last time there's a bit of a delay, so I just wait a little bit and see if you guys have anything else. If not, um, thank you. Appreciate that. I definitely will. I'm definitely going to keep it going. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, we got the next videos coming up. 20 Flight Rock and then Johnny Burnett. I don't know which one I'm going to release do first, but probably 20 Flight because that's the easier one. And then the one after that will be what did I say? Rockabeat and Boogie. And yeah, we'll just keep going from there. And I appreciate you guys again hanging out and supporting the channel and interacting in the chat. And we will do this again next week at the very least. Hopefully, I can get a video out um, next week sometime. Hopefully by Thursday or Friday, depending on life and the schedule and all that stuff. If not, it'll definitely be the following week. But I will be here again, same time next Saturday. And I hope you guys have a good evening or good afternoon wherever you are. And I will see you guys next week. Later.